Welcome everyone to Between the Panels, where, oh my god, we're insane. So, Krakoa is no more. In fact, this is the first ever time I'm talking about a From the Ashes era X-Men comic. That sadly has to happen now because Krakoa is no more, and, well, we need to synergize somewhat with the TV show animated series because they hate us. Yeah, like, I know there were people that were very iffy on Krakoa, but it was like everything else, like, it was the last thing that was very comic booky, because compared to everything else going on in the Marvel Comics universe, they've been so synergized with the MCU that while they do tell original tales that can't be told in the Marvel Cinematic Universe, it's kind of obvious that if Marvel Comics had their way, they'd probably convert everything to the MCU and go by the rules and logics of it. However, because the X-Men were part of Fox at the time, they went in a radically different direction for the mutants and gave them the Lost Decade, which I'm sure everyone loved. I mean, like, there are good stories during that period, but it's like when they're told, do not be substantial, do not be important, do not be mattering in the grand scheme of things for Marvel Comics, because if we can't promote the X-Men in our own MCU, we are definitely not going to advertise the Fox movies. And then Fox was bought out by Disney, and the rights went back to Marvel. Then Hickman came in, did the Krakoan era that lasted for over 727 issues. Awesome. And then it ended abruptly because I counted down the days it was coming, because it was the X-Men 97 series. I gave it a year or two before Krakoa came to an end when that show was announced. And sure enough, they proved my point. Everything I said came to pass, and I am certain I am a monkey's uncle. Yeah, it's sad. It was sad that day, but can't make anything about it now. Krakoa is gone, and we are back where we started with the X-Men universe, where we're protecting a world that fears and hates us. So we're gonna just ignore all the comics going on at the time for the X-Men From the Ashes era and talk about a solo title that has just recently launched, which focuses on Psylocke, because Tom Rivroot, I'm sorry I butchered your name, man, but, like, yeah, I'm bad at this. Psylocke, and I am definitely not calling her by her real name, her non-mutant name, because pronouncing it was a nightmare for me, so I'm not even gonna try. But Psylocke has had a very interesting history. Basically, to make a long, complicated story short, Psylocke was a Japanese woman who was trained to be an assassin for the Hand. Then later on, she became controlled by Betsy Braddock, two minds, one body, but Betsy Braddock taking most of the ride. Then there was times they got separated, then they merged back into one person, and Betsy Braddock controlled the Psylocke body for the most part, and then they got separated during the 2010s, and then they went to form their own identities with their characters. Betsy Braddock became Captain Britain, and Psylocke became Psylocke. And she would lead the Hellions in what was considered the best title of the Krakoan era by Zeb Wells. That was then immediately destroyed, his legacy with comic fans, with the Amazing Spider-Man run, which I do not blame him for. I honestly blame Nick Lowe for that, because, let's be real, you have to operate on huge hate energy just to make that title run be the way it was. But, yeah, moving on from that, reminiscing of that run, especially when they were teasing MJ was going to get killed off, only to reveal it was Kamala Khan that was killed off, because we need to synergize with the MCU again in more blatant obviousness. So anyways, and oh dear. So Psylocke was announced, and I was excited for this book, and then I had said, much to some people's disagreements, that I thought Zeb Wells should write this. Yeah, there were people that were really against that idea because of what Zeb Wells did with the Amazing Spider-Man run, and I just was like, hear me out. Just hear me out. I'm not going to go ahead and give Zeb Wells his flowers for the Spider-Man run. It was pretty bad. But he does write a good Psylocke story with the Hellions run. he wrote a good team book. It was, even people who hated Krakoa loved the Hellions, and especially the wacky personality of Mr. Sinister, because he is just so awesome and adorable. Until you remember he was a Nazi scientist and a complete borderline psychopath. But he's just so flamboyant, it's hilarious. And he's seemingly coming back during the events of X-Manhunt, which will feature Charles Xavier returning and being on the run, because he is a war criminal, and, well, they're kind of not happy about that. But, yeah. Psylocke has been given her own title. It's being written by Wong, and is going to be going ahead and getting his own artwork. I tried to pronounce it, failed miserably. But when I heard this announcement, I was excited for the Psylocke book, and then Magic was announced, and that was awesome to hear. And I was excited for these two titles. These were the more hyped solo titles we were getting. I do, however, have a complaint. Tom has been releasing multiple X-Men books outside of the 3 big books they were releasing, which was X-Men, Uncanny X-Men, Exceptional X-Men. And then we got multiple, quote, satellite titles that expanded the story, when in reality, they were just more ongoing titles in an already flooded market. And then they started releasing more and more, and then there was reports going around that Tom wanted to go ahead and have an X-Men #1 book every month, which is a nightmare's marketing strategy, I feel. Granted, I'm not in the business of economics, and I have no investment in it whatsoever in Marvel, but I just feel like that's an oversaturation of X-Men books. Oh dear. Well, at least they can't do a House of M event this time, hopefully. But yeah, Psylocke #1 and Psylocke #2 have come out since the beginning of Between the Panels, and oh boy, it's going to be a doozy talking about these 2 issues. And thank you, Leno, for the preemptive editing of this project. I'm hoping to make more of these review shows and whatnot for Between the Panels while I do the unedited comic haul look around and all that. But we'll see where this goes. I'm excited to talk about this stuff. Let's dig into the first 2 issues of Psylocke and see where all this goes in the post-Krakoan age. Okay, we're going through 2 issues of Psylocke #1 and #2, written by Alyssa Wong. Let's get right into everything. We cut to the factory in Alaska. So, just to get a quick rundown on what the heck the factory is, it's basically the X-Men's current home, mostly Scott Summers' militant factory that he acquired from a big lawsuit he conducted with Orcus after the events of the war, and he won that, and he revealed that he could have won so much more following the fall of Krakoa, but opted to keep the factory, and also showed that he will unleash his wife upon the world, who is currently out in the cosmos doing Phoenix stuff, in her own solo title, Phoenix. So, yeah, the X-Men went from a lavish paradise of an island to a cold, freezing factory that was run by people that were trying to kill them and destroy their way of life. I'm sure there's something to be said about that. So we get some narration outside the factory. Seriously, where is she? Oh my god, she's taking forever. I can't believe I need to go ahead and do whatever it is I need to do, because that's literally what Quentin does. Scott tries to assure that she's on her way, saying, "Be patient, Quentin. I'm sure Psylocke is on her way." Cyclops, the briefing was supposed to start half an hour ago, which means it should have ended a half hour ago. And now I'm stuck here with you when I could be doing literally anything more interesting. Yes, like talking about my past relationship with one of the Stepford Cuckoos going wrong, and the time when I turned into an old man, or the time I was part of a radicalized version of the X-Force militant style, and I was being led by Beast, who lost his mind. And then there was that whole reboot, essentially, for his character in order to get back his Avengers era, but not really his up-to-date format, which made him a war criminal. Yeah, you see how crazy things were back then? And this was just a few years ago. 727 issues. So Psylocke enters the room, apologizing for, making them all wait, and she talks about how she got her flight almost canceled due to the blizzard, which Quentin replies with, "Wait, really? That garbage fire of a town? Psylocke, what the f*** were you doing in Palmdale? And Psylocke reminisces back when she was in California just a few hours earlier, kicking mafia mob ass. Or traffickers, really. Could go either way. Yeah, so she goes ahead, kicks their asses, and it's pretty damn awesome. It's saying how she moves like a ninja, and how that she really is a real ninja, and it's like, oh god. But yeah, she goes ahead and wipes out these kidnapping mob bosses to go ahead and rescue a person named Mila Acker, who goes ahead and is freed from her captivity and reveals that her father hired Psylocke to find her and bring her home. And of course, Mila decides to reveal that her dad hates mutants, aka, you hate these people, but you're definitely going to benefit off of their talents. And she just says, his political career doesn't have to be your path forward. And he's not the one I'm rescuing. I'm like, if you were like him, I wouldn't have cared. And then Psylocke stabs her would-be rescuee. Yeah. And then it's going to go ahead and be revealed that no, she didn't kill the politician's daughter. No. She used her side blade, which affects the mind, or in this case, knocks her out. And yeah, Psylocke then proceeds to warn them that no one here is dead, and that no one will remember what happened, and neither will they. And she proceeds to decimate everybody. So Psylocke goes ahead and saves the politician's daughter, returns her home, and, well, I don't know if she ever got paid, but probably not, since this is the politician who hates mutants. But yeah, Quentin then kind of interrupts the flashback by saying, hello, you gonna answer my question? And she just says, nothing important. Glad you made us wait for nothing important. And how dare you go ahead and point out the flaws of what happens in every big Japanese manga nowadays? Because I get the feeling that was the joke. Like think about it. She goes ahead, reminisces, and then the character goes ahead and brings up how they're taking forever and just standing there, and then they go ahead and they say nothing important, and then they were like, okay, seriously? Which does make me think this is supposed to be a joke on Japanese manga, how there's a big thing going on, and then all of a sudden it just flashes back to like 20 years ago, and they're just wondering what's going on in their heads when this is happening. Are they just standing still, and this is a Family Guy segue cut? Oh god, that would be terrible. I still remember when I was reading the last issues of Naruto, and I was like, oh, for f***'s sake, are we really doing this backstory about how Obito became evil in the middle of a gigantic war? Are we really doing this? Come on, can we please not? Can we just get back to Madara roasting the living hell out of Naruto about his intelligence? But yeah, Magic goes ahead and says he complained so much, and yeah, that's all the contribution Magic has for this issue. Cyclops gets everyone back into attention and talking about the reports of the 3K activity in Columbus, Ohio, with Quentin Omega Kid mentioning, more adult mutants suddenly activating their X genes. That's right, it is 3K. We need to handle it quickly. Yeah, 3K. Ignoring what implications can be made from that name alone, 3K is basically a three-man group, which also consists of Cassandra Nova, who are artificially creating more mutants by activating the mutant gene into later adult lives. That's causing mass hysteria and panic because humanity is a bunch of morons. And they brought back the Sentinel program, so yeah. So they go ahead and prepare to leave for Columbus, and Psylocke says, no, you're not coming with us, we're benching you. And she's understandably pissed, and saying that she needs to be on mandatory vacation leave. And then she goes ahead and voices her issues with, Krakoa being gone and how it wasn't enough for humanity, and it'll be never enough until mutants are eradicated from the planet and every other one. And then Cyclops mentions, when was the last time you slept? And she stubbornly crosses her arms. Look, being squad leader means I have to do what's best for the team. That includes you, Psylocke. Yes, I should know. Your character, when she was being under the control of Besty Braddock, went ahead, flirted with me, tried to sleep with me while I was still dating Jean Grey at the time. That prompted me to marry her, leading to various weirdness afterwards. We don't really talk about that during the 90s anymore, do we? Or that I'm having a heroic spaz attack when I'm just going ahead and being a real asshole, because being an asshole equals being a leader. So yeah, Cyclops tries to assure her that she's not a machine, she's a person, not a weapon, and that she needs to take care of herself and using his authority to by force if he has to. So he's going to give her about a week or two off, and then, well, we'll see what happens. So, yeah, we get some narration thoughts from Psylocke. I don't like being alone with my thoughts. Maybe I just don't want to be alone. That's a new feeling, and it scares me. Every time I put my trust in someone, they've used me. I don't blame them. But John Grey Crow is different. He knows what I am, and he's not afraid of it. Of me. Ah, yes, that story. You see, remember how I mentioned Zed Wells wrote the Hellion Saga during the Krakoan Age? He also paired up Psylocke with Grey Crow, who was originally called Scalp Hunter, but he got his name changed because of the name alone. So yeah, Psylocke speed bikes her way out of the factory and instead heads to a local cabin, which has John Grey Crow in here, as she reminisces about how he's got blood on his hands and how he's also a criminal full of regrets with a past he'll never shake. And yeah, she goes ahead and seemingly has a struggle with the fact that there's someone out there that doesn't see her as a psychotic killer. Because they are also a psychotic killer. So, yeah, afterwards they go ahead, sleep in the cabin, and she starts having nightmares and almost kills him. Yeah, that sounds about right. He tries to be sure that nothing went wrong, that he's alright, she's alright, and then she goes ahead... Yeah, she goes ahead and talks about how she could have killed her, but that's what he says, that's what my healing factor is for. And yeah, and she talks about her past being groomed to be an assassin from the time she learned to walk by the hand, reminding me very much of Cassandra Cain and how she was raised by the League of Assassins because psychotic. And how killing was so easy for her, and she's been trained into her so thoroughly that it's become a reflex, and she doesn't want to be that anymore. John tries to reassure her that there's more to them that they make us than others have made us, and yeah, then they make out. Then we cut back to the next morning with Anchorage, Alaska. So yeah, she is not having a peaceful day, and she gets in contact with a young lad who... Okay, there's something about this art. It's making me think it's Pepe Larraz, but not fully. I can tell in certain areas, but there is something familiar about it. But yeah, Psylocke gets contacted by Devon D'Angelo, and yeah, she is not happy about this. She talks about how she rescued him from an underground lab in Minneapolis where they were being forced to develop anti-mutant weaponry, because of course they were. Saying at the time she didn't realize that they were still a college student or that they had their fingers in every dark corner of the web. Sorry, did I call it a bad time? Hey, how was Palmdale? Well, I got a wire transfer from Mila's dad, so I figured the mission went well. I guess I could have left a message, but I knew you'd pick up eventually. Yes, that's how my courteousness is on. I am just going to go ghosting on you. Apparently they imprinted on me, because I've been getting packages ever since gadgets tailored to work with my psychic powers. I never gave them an address or even a phone number, but at this point, I've learned to accept it. Yes, I've learned to accept that someone just looked up my private information on the internet, specifically the dark web, and yeah. Then she just goes ahead and says, I'm starting to regret saving you. You don't mean that. Okay, maybe you do. That's fine. Either way, I got a new lead for you. An anonymous tipster alerted us to a party hosted by AIM, aka Advanced Idea Mechanics. Apparently they developed a new variant of mutant growth hormone. No one's sure what it does, but it's supposed to be even deadlier. The question is, of course, where are they getting their ingredients to make it? Send me the coordinates for the party. Great. How do you feel about warm weather? We go to Phoenix, Arizona. Invitation, ma'am? Of course. Will this do? Yes, ma'am. Go on in. And it's revealed that it wasn't an invitational card that she was accepted to a party. It was, in fact, a buy 7, get 1 free card. Ouch. So, how long do you think it will be before something goes wrong? So, she gets past them, and yeah, and I really do like this artwork. I'll admit, this artwork's pretty damn good, and the colors are really beautiful. So, yeah, she goes ahead and has a psychic conversation. Devon, can you hear me? Like you're in the room with me, in my head, I mean. I see your invention works. It's just a little thing, proof of concept. It amplifies your psychic thought projections over long distances. Did you run into any trouble on your way in? All I had to do was touch the security guard's mind, and he let me pass. I like a surveillance update. The ballroom has 4 fire exits, each heavily guarded by mercenaries. There are 241 affiliate guests on the list, most of whom are in attendance. We got a pair of state senators doing lines in the 3rd floor bathroom with the entire C-suite of an oil company classic. Any sign of AIM? That's the weird thing. I haven't seen them at all. According to the blueprints, there's another room under the stage, but none of the security cameras cover it. Past situation there. Great. God, look at those legs. She's so drunk. Just a couple more flutes of champagne and she won't remember this at all. Is that who I think it is? Isn't he married? His wife's not here. Now's my chance. If we can patent this new type of MGH, we could make billions. I hate him. I hope he dies. I've always wanted to be special. Oh god, humanity sucks. Candy, miss? No MGH hidden here, but lots of other goodness. Pick a pill. Well, and see if you get lucky. I'm good. Good evening, everyone. I hope you're all enjoying yourselves. I'm not. Where's the alcohol? Where's the Tony Stark party? No, we are not doing the Tony Stark party nonsense. Plus, we all know Tony Stark likes to go in and get people killed in that event. And the last time that happened, Hulk went ahead and destroyed everything. Almost. So it turns out that they have hired some security officials, AIM has, with the mutant growth hormone technology. Found them, and they've hired Donald Pierce and Skullbuster as security. The Reavers? Jeez. Now, I'm sure all of you are familiar with fast-acting MGH pills and injections. They offer a quick burst of mutant power, but the effects wear off just as quickly. This is a slow release. Simply apply it regularly to your skin to introduce a highly concentrated, steady dose into your body. Mutation in a packet. You'll find a sample in your goodie bags. Now on to the main event of the night. The auction! 5 young youths who have reached the element of power, the perfect ingredients for extraction. And yeah, this causes a PTSD moment for Psylocke, and how she and another person were taken and someone took both of them. Bidding begins at $500,000 for mutant number 1. Do I hear 500K? Oh god. They're selling off children. Wait, Psylocke, where are you going? Hey, 510K, 550, 575, 600K, 620. There are too many of them, and security's on high alert. We have to wait for the right. Instead, she just goes ahead, takes one of their signs, and says, I'll take them all. Perfect. The set of 5 will be $2.5 million. Done. And then she proceeds to kick their asses. So, yeah. Looks like negotiations are falling apart. Can we schedule this for next week? So yeah, Psylocke proceeds to go ahead and start fighting with virtually the hired guns, and basically has turned this building into a street fight, right? And she goes ahead and psionically goes into the people's heads and learns that there are in fact more children that have been taken and sold off into trafficking. Oh, the joys of the modern world being integrated into comics. Just what we need from our escapist fantasy. So then she gets attacked and then gets told, you were on the invite list, mutant. Yes. Now, if you were a kid, that would be up for discussions. Thanks, Pierce. Shut up! If you're done your job, we have to clean up after you. Hey, you wanna know how to deal with a mutant who can outrun a machine gun? Skullbuster, you idiot! What are you going to do? Each of those hot MGH patterns have a different effect. Now I'll get to see all of them in action. 5 times the patches, 5 times the power. Look at me! And he proceeds to violently vomit and become a bloated monstrosity. Yes. Oh, god damn it. And Psylocke realizes she needs to stop the chaos from spreading and save the kids. And it goes very, very dark. She proceeds to violently end the issue with killing Skullbuster. So, night on the town, right? Yeah, that's the end of the first issue. Psylocke just murdered a guy. Granted, he was a piece of you-know-what, but still, she just murdered somebody. And she's covered in blood, so I'm pretty sure that's going to be a very, 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 very tough thing to get off of her and get cleaned up. But we'll talk about what happens next in issue 2 real quick. Issue 2 opens up with the aftermath of Psylocke having brutally murdered a man in front of kids. Yeah, great way to start the issue of part 2 of this. So, yeah, it's back at Phoenix, Arizona at the hotel, and then Psylocke is remembering her childhood again with the fact that she did something like this in the outskirts of Kyoto, Japan, a long time ago. They don't give it a year because then that would age the character in an artificial way because this character's been around for decades. So, yeah. One of her friends comes to her and calls out her name, and Mitsuki goes ahead and tells her, there you are, sometimes you go so far away. I worry that I'll never get you back. Then she remembers, oh yeah, there's kids I need to save. And then she proceeds to go and save them, cut the curtains before the fire spreads, and tries to get them out as best she can. And we don't see what happens with the guards around the building. They're just gone. They make it back to the factory all right. And Beast is confused by what's happening because Psylocke is supposed to be on vacation and resting. Psylocke's response is just that this is resting. And the kids naturally just say, he's blue. I don't like him. I do. Yes, I was also going to say, oh, you poor kid. Thank God you did not know what Beast was doing when he was running on Krakoa. Though, of course, this is not that Beast. It's a different version of Beast from the age of when he was an Avenger, and therefore does not have his 90s history fully intact. Comics are confusing. Psylocke did reveal that she was going to ask John Greycrow to go ahead and watch the kids, but he was currently out on a job. So she left them with Beast and that they'll be safe here in the factory. She tries to reassure them that they'll try their best to make the world a safer place, but let's be real, that's not going to happen. This is the comic book industry. They don't believe in changing the status quo of feared and hated, especially nowadays. But, yeah. She's out taking a look for the rest of the kids, so she travels to Manhattan, New York City. So she contacts Devon, who is understandably very pissed off. Mostly because Psylocke cut off the connection and went in on a loan, and she couldn't help him. And Psylocke naturally says, oh. Yeah, oh, anyway, I get that you don't get it, so I won't push. I'm saying the tipster's info to you now. Thanks, Devon. Every mission is dangerous. I didn't realize you'd worry about me. Of course I do. I'm not a superhero like you. I'm just an ordinary human college kid who's been blacklisted by several countries' government databases. Very ordinary. If they don't want people poking around, they should have better firewalls. Wait, this is so unrealistic now. How is this kid blacklisted? Normally, when someone so young gets to have powerful technology that can break through several firewalls of government-created technology, the first thing they would do is hire them. Because if you can hack the unimpenetrable, you'll get a job. That's the government way of the worlds. Goddamn. So she arrives to a penthouse in Central Park that's owned by Shinobi Shaw, aka Sebastian Shaw's son, who was resurrected during the Krakoan era and was dead for a long time. Yeah, and was originally going to be part of this organizational coup by Sebastian to take over the Hellfire Gala before the Hellfire organization, before Emma Frost and Kate Pryde put a stop to his grand ambitions and then put him in a wheelchair for a while. Have you noticed that it seems during the Krakoan era, a lot of our heroes kind of did a lot of funked up stuff? Yeah. But she breaks in, scaring the local ladies and waiters. There's with Shinobi being all, oh, it's cool. And offers to have her in the water with him because, of course, he must go ahead and flirt with every beautiful woman in the world. And she threatens to cut his head off with the Psyblade by... When I say cut it off, I mean like she's basically threatening to erase his memories in the most brutal way possible. So she goes ahead and offers an opportunity. So he goes ahead and explains why he did this. I'm the one that tipped you off for AIM's MGH operation, which means you found out about the mutant child auction too. If you knew about it, why didn't you stop it? Why would I? I am surprised she did not punch him in the face after that comment. Because God knows if he's not going to do it, if she won't do it, I would have. But, yeah, yeah, he goes ahead and just blatantly says that, yeah, I've never been an altruist. You know that. I sent you my favorite killer X-Man, and you took care of the problem. That's what you're good at. That's what people say. Here's the thing, Shinobi. I don't care if you're an altruist. That's irrelevant. I'm getting the other missing mutant children back, and you're my best lead, so you're coming with me to rescue them. After she pours one of the given drinks she was given by Shinobi, and much to his shock, he just says, what? And then they go ahead to an upcoming charity event, which is a local hotel restaurant, which, yeah. So, Shinobi mentions that during a charity event gala in the previous month, she goes ahead, she learns that Shinobi overheard some interesting comments, and she's kind of surprised that he would just openly do that. But it turns out because he's a Shaw, that means the name opens doors, and even goes ahead and gets a restaurant that has a 6-month wait list. And he got it last night after a call. So they pass through and go to the deeper entrances of the restaurant. And, yeah, turns out this location is called the Cleaver Club. Of course it is. We need to have everything be crazy. Yeah. So, turns out that people are gambling in this Cleaver Club to have children fight to the death. We live in a society. Yeah, so Shinobi points out. So this is a part in the page in the comic that I'm reading where he goes ahead and asks her if these are all the kids she's looking for, but she says he's not, and it just keeps making me think Pepe Larraz is drawing this at times. There's just something about the artwork that really makes me think Pepe Larraz, which is awesome. Everyone should aspire to be an artist of the talent of Pepe Larraz because he is awesome. Bow before him. So afterwards, she goes ahead and breaks into the secret prison area where they're keeping all the kids in cages because, of course, and gets electrocuted and knocked out. Turns out, because the Cleaver Club is all about chaos and violence, they force the kids to be given electric shock collars and told if they don't kill this woman, they're all gonna die. And then Shinobi just comments, "Oh, those kids are dead." I mean, yeah, if this was a different worldview of the comic book industry. Except we're not reading a Mark Millar comic, so we're not going to do that. Though, of course, to be fair, I did read Big Game, and I'm still surprised we didn't get some gruesome edgelord moment in the first issue where this superhero is talking to a bunch of kids in the school. I think even Mark Millar's starting to realize he needs to have some form of standards. But, yeah, Psylocke tries to stop them from fighting by trying to at least knock them out or push them back, but she gets shocked as well because, yeah, they want the fight or die creed of the Cleaver Club to continue on. So she goes ahead and puts them all to sleep, which is kind of entertaining the guy because he doesn't know that, you know, Psyblade doesn't actually kill them. And then Shinobi just goes ahead and crushes the owner of the club's hand. And then he goes ahead and they fire at him. He has density manipulation. So basically he can do what Kitty Pryde can do, except make his body as an impenetrable steel, like he's the Man of Steel, or make him go through stuff like usual character, like a certain Kitty Pryde does. Yeah. And then proceeds to violently kill people with it. He goes ahead and tries to once again to flirt with Psylocke in this matter, and talks about this place in Soho, and is saying it's got great reviews. And Psylocke just mentions, "You just cut a man in half with your body. That used to thrill you. I've changed. Shame, you're the best killer I've known. I admire that about you. Seriously though, I predict a Michelin star in this restaurant's future. I'll think about it." Then we go to Soho, New York, and she left him an invoice. And on the invoice it says various things. Hourly rate, hazard pay, outfit replacement, medical bills, and putting up with you tax, which is apparently 28 grand. So he owes her $130,000. Well played. You'll have the money in your account by tomorrow. Oh yes, I may be a Shaw, but at least I have more standards than my dad. So afterwards, the kids are taken back to the factory of Alaska, and Psylocke kind of comes to the realization, yeah, she should probably rest. And then John Greycrow's arm is revealed to have been amputated from him and smeared and coated in blood on the door with butterflies holding it together with some spikes. So someone left a message for her. And it says the words, "Come find me," as she snarls and crumples the paper up to end the issue. Okay, so these two issues. I actually like these. These were pretty fun issues of the story, and certainly Psylocke's awesome, especially since now we don't have that massive confusion of who Psylocke is, and with Betsy Braddock being Captain Britain and the whole two minds, one body thing that really looking at it can be very awkward now from back then. And yeah, times were so insane. But yeah, John Greycrow has lost an arm, and apparently in the comics around the same time as publication, Bullseye lost an arm too. So is this part of a new villain we're gonna get? The arms taker, who's gonna sever people's arms off and bolt them to walls in order to send a message? Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if Marvel went that route. So, yeah. Fun issues all around, and honestly, I do like this artwork style. I try to pronounce the name of the artist's work, but I am not good at pronouncing it. I tried. It was like Vincenzo Carratù. I'm pretty sure I butchered that, and at this point I'm convinced I should probably make a merchandise t-shirt about that saying, "I'm sorry I butchered your name." Yeah, that should be it. So, yeah, that's the end of this issue, and we'll be back again, and because next soon, my shipment of comics are coming in, and I'll be sure to make an edited video showing my latest comic book haul. This is your host, Eric Brown of Neo Reality Entertainment, NRE. Feel free to like, comment, subscribe, check out my content in the description below. Stay tuned for more. I'll see you all again next time, and peace and take care, and have a good day.